Hi, Jerry Kafetz here again with video number 4 in our 5-part series on prayer. We're looking at the Lord's Prayer, or the model prayer as we really ought to call it, because Jesus never prayed that prayer. I want you to look at something that's in verse 13 of the model prayer. This is Matthew chapter 6 verses 9 through 13. And Jesus says this, he says, include this in your prayers when you come to God. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. What does that mean? That means, I've got a goal. I'm on my way to something. God is my Father. I'm in the process of cultivating that relationship with Him. That's what we call sanctification. And I have a goal. My goal is to be part of that ultimate and final expression of God when His kingdom is manifest here on earth, final in the earthly sense. And I want to be there. It's like that song, when the saints go marching in, I want to be in that number. Well, you're going to be if you're a Christian, if you've experienced the new birth, as we've talked about before. But between now and then, you better be careful about something. And I need to be careful about that too. And what is that? Don't go in the ditch. Don't go in the ditch. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. That means God, on the way to this happening here, on the way to this fulfillment of our relationship, as we're moving toward that, keep me out of the ditch, okay? Help me to watch my speed. Don't let me ruin things by having an accident. Now, the person who I see, there's a couple of them in Scripture who was acutely aware of this. One of them is Job, but we're not going to talk about Job. We're going to talk about Solomon. Solomon was so acutely aware of this derailment process that he went on and on and on, and over again he taught and he pleaded with his children, don't fall into the ditch. Don't go into the ditch. Be careful of temptation. There is such thing as evil out there. And Solomon personified this in the first couple, and actually all the way through about the first 6 or 7 chapters of Proverbs. He said, be careful of evil. And interestingly enough, in that same part of the Bible, a book previous to that, in Psalm chapter 2, we come to this tucked away little verse, and we get a very, very accurate and penetrating and brilliant analysis of what sin is and what the agenda of evil is. And that's in Psalm 2, where evil speaking in the first person, well, I'm not sure if it's in the first person, evil is speaking there about good, about righteousness. And here's the phrase, let us break their bands asunder. Let us take their moral code, the moral code of God's people, and let us break it. Let us tell them their commandments are too rigid. Let us break their bands asunder. And what God is saying here is, no, don't do that. Stay within that framework. Stay within that support group, the church, the family, the extended Christian fellowship. Solomon recognized that, and he put it in such beautiful and passionate and compelling terms in the first few chapters of Proverbs. What a wonderful, wonderful series of verses that is, and chapters to read at family devotions to children. 31 chapters in Proverbs, 31 days in a month. Just whatever day of the month, just take that chapter of Proverbs. We did that in our family, I know, just countless times. So here, the agenda of evil is to break our bands asunder, to take the structured moral Christian code called the Bible, the commandment, the law, the scriptures that we try to live by, and to attack it, and to say, no, it's too judgmental, it's too rigid, it's too objective. We want subjective law. We want situation ethics. We want a flexible moral code. And most people that reject Christianity, regardless of what they tell you, regardless of what they tell themselves, reject it because they want a flexible moral code to apply to their life. So what do we see? Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Who's going to deliver you from evil? Who's going to keep you from going into temptation? God is. delivery is of God. Just as meeting the most basic of your needs, the need for bread, is of God, then staying on a safe path, a centrist path, and staying out of the ditch is something that only happens if you continually go to God and ask for it. This has been video number 4. We have one more to do in the 5-part series on the Lord's Prayer, and I hope you'll watch it. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Jerry Kafitz.